It's going to be really funny when people look back at this and see there's 3 minutes of silence. Started. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. There we go. I should probably put in playboard that we are live. Copy event link. Cavecast. Well, this is certainly going to be interesting. Gonna wait for the hello. Just gonna wait for us to build up a bit in numbers. Got 4. Could actually start. We'll wait for one more person, and then we'll start. How's everyone doing? I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. Yeah, that's fine. Just eating pizza. Ooh, what kind? I'm gonna judge you based on what kind of pizza you're eating. Okay, that's understandable. A bit basic, but it's fine. Okay. Beans on pizza? Okay. Don't know where the beans on pizzas come from. I assume somewhere. Oh, beans on toast? Yeah, but that's different. That is different. Beans on toast is different to beans on pizza. There is actually a company that is selling beans on pizza now. It's very strange. Anyway, the Britland. Oh. Well, you're just wrong. It obviously wasn't done properly for you then. Anyway, honestly, I was kind of hoping Fraught would be here for this one. Or some more of the staff team other than Bowman, and actually, hang on, I feel like some of you are staff. I need to keep a better tab of who is staff now, I swear. Okay, some of you might be staff who are in here. I'm aware Bowman's staff. But, nevertheless, we move on. Okay, wow, they're still in the table for 4. Damn. And ex-staff. They're still in table for 4. They're probably debating and stuff, and anyway, so right now we're in a bit of a sticky situation right now on, I would say, multiple fronts. How sticky? I'm going to say very sticky. We're sticky on multiple fronts right now. Yes, very sticky. It's actually something quite... No, I don't like it being sticky. This is a bad thing. You like hearing me say sticky? Great, thanks. Anyhow, Yeah, so we are in a bit of a pickle. And not in a good way. Like, oh, this is going to be like an amazing part of a movie where, like, you know, like, everything just goes completely right from here on out. Predicament. Yes, are in a bit of a predicament. This is not, look, this is not turning into me, like, saying words for you. Like, this is a serious matter. I do. So yeah, we are in a bit of a hot situation right now. On multiple fronts. Not to go in too far, we've got um a whole shit show to do with red light. We have people having problems with the guards, people having problems with fraud, and just overall, like, a complete, almost seems like a distrust that people seem to have with a surprisingly large amount of people. And I'm going to be honest, chances are this situation's going to get worse. A lot worse. Um, I don't really see a. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really see a really clear way out, unless, like, drastic things are changed. But yeah, um, I think I I'm just trying to think. How shall I structure this? I feel I was originally going to start going into what I think the solution should be, but that doesn't seem very logical. So I will go with what the problems, and do a bit of a quick in-depth analysis onto what I think the main problem is. Now, I think a lot of these problems that we have circulating right now completely stem down to how the server is run and how the server is set out, la di la di da. Because it kind of means how the server is set out that it's not necessarily the right people who are doing the job that they are given. And it's because of this that I actually believe we are in the current situation we are right now. You know, and it also doesn't help that people don't really get a chance to even understand or get a grip of their job. So you end up with situations where people end up with less training and a complete lack of understanding of what their job is meant to be. And, you know, like, it kind of gets put up with it. You know, like, I'm going to be honest, a lot of things from what I understood my job would be as Prime Minister, I get told new shit that I do or I'm meant to do, or stuff I shouldn't be doing, like, pretty much every other day, I think, at this point. It's, and so I think a real big problem is that, and you know, it's caused a lot of problems. Obviously there's the issue with the guards that we currently have right now. I keep insisting I will not be taking a side. However, I do think that the situation that we have with the guards could have been completely avoided. Completely. If the right steps were taken. Sadly, they were not. And we're in the situation where we are in now. And so, on both sides, I would say. But both sides could have taken the right steps, and things could have been done a hell of a lot differently. However, they weren't, so we've got to live with the consequences. I don't really want to go into too much detail on stuff there. But, yeah. So, another situation we currently have right now is stuff within the staff. It's some of the stuff that we have now in amongst the staff in Caveton is not going in a particularly very good direction, I shall say, at all. It's a very concerning. It is just like within staff, so it's staff on staff. So there is the but again, this really does link to the stuff that we're currently having with red light. So, a little update for any of you that don't understand or know what's going on in red light. The red light staff isn't particularly the best, from what I've heard. I'm not allowed in red light, so I don't know. I'm just going off what I've been told. So, fraught, and there's been a movement for potentially how things should go, how things should be ran, and all of the staff have said no to what's been proposed. And so with something that was passed last night for me, possibly midday for some of you yesterday, is the EVOC. Yeah. It passed. So essentially, we are stuck in a bit of a position where, if that's enacted, it could make the entire situation worse. So we really are in a complete shit situation. Yeah. There's, I will admit, staff is struggling a bit. I'm aware, some staff can, be can be a little controversial to some people within the server. Yeah. Obviously, I'm aware of everything that goes on, so yeah, that's all I shall say to Leah's most recent comment. But staff are struggling, and at the way things are going, things aren't going to last if things continue. I'm just trying to be really vague because I'm not sure how much of this I'm meant to say. But yeah, things aren't gonna last. I know I probably should, but again, I know a lot of stuff. Yeah. I'm aware of a lot of stuff, so a lot of this I don't really want to reveal too much because some of it will be beating around the bush. I will get into some nitty-gritty stuff, but it's only because, especially with the stuff to do with how some of the staff is, I have been asked not to reveal kind of how bad it is for some of the staff right now. And so now it's not like for some of the staff, specifically the guards, it's not that they're having a problem. It's a mixture of things that they're having a problem with. How the servers run, kind of the whole like almost rituals and stuff that are done and everything. It's yeah. So staff are struggling, and from the way I see it, we could see a split off from Caveton, like almost a new server. It's kind of split off. So yeah, shit is that bad. Shit is really, really that bad. For now, the reason why that there is a split off is for tons of reasons, tons and tons and tons of reasons, all of which I do not see getting fixed in the near future, unless drastic actions a completely new server is made. Things are just getting that bad. I don't know, but yeah, it's for multiple reasons. Yeah, but that is the way it's going. So now, obviously, my whole main thing has always been, making sure people are happy, making sure people feel safe, making sure, people feel like that they've got a voice. And I'm going to be honest, at this current moment in time, I don't feel like I can effectively do that, or nor do I think that the server is going in a way that people would be happy with how it's going. it would be really interesting if we could get fraught in here. Um, I'm just gonna ask. Because he probably won't, but yeah, they're not gonna move in. So does because I'm aware that I am beating around the bush, kind of here, about like what really is going on. So ask me questions. I'm kind of opening this up to you all now, kind of to fill in any gaps, because I really do want to make sure that you know, you're all yeah, if you guys pop your hand up, I can invite you all up, and talk about it and stuff. If you don't want to, then you know that's fine. You can just ask me a no mic. But if you do want to, then officer. Right, welcome up, Ichigo. Send you a request. There we go. Hello, welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
There we go.
Very
Yes,
good.
I'm going. All right. Well, seeing as how there's not many people in the audience, let's see. Well, to be honest, I'm not going to beat around the bush. So let me say, I've been in this community. I've been around fraud. Let's see, community's what, 10, 11 years old now? I've been around for 9 of those 10 years. And I've I've seen this exact cycle happen to multiple different iterations of versions of Caveton that we've had. First, it was the Minecraft stuff, then it evolved. I believe we had Skype at one point, a nice big Skype group. And then, eventually we got to the beta versions of what Caveton is. There was Fraudia, I think, was one of the servers, and all kinds of different things. And to me, it's just the same cycle over and over. I see the same things. Fraud does the same. It's good until it isn't, kind of deal.
Mm.
And I mean, it's just, I don't see any change in this cycle. Of course, there's always, you can start a new server, change a bunch of the rules, and everything will be fine and dandy for the first 3 or 4 years. But, then you get to the point of where we're at now, you know?
Yeah.
So, really, uh, what do you think could change to make this cycle not happen? The cycle of it being good for a few years, and then it just completely goes to shit. What would you say is the fix for that?
I think it's not a matter of start again, but only change little bits. You know, we don't need to start again. We just need to completely break the entire thing and rebuild it from the ground up.
Well, okay, so in your eyes, what would that look like then? Like, what would the rebuild be?
Completely get rid of the ROTC. Just
Okay,
completely gone. Make a new one. But a simplified. Now, when I say simplified, I do mean a complete simplified. So, so it is completely understandable.
right. So, um,
Oh,
let's
sorry,
see.
we've just got a recent
About
influx. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're currently right now discussing what could be possibly be done to fix the current issues. So sorry, I do apologize for interrupting.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, if anybody else would like to speak, I'd love to hear it. But I was just basically going over the point of, I've been here a while. I've seen a lot of things happen with the fraudulent community. I've seen a lot of things happen with Caveton. I've been to the highest of positions, of the highest of staff members to the lowest of a member position. Basically, fraudulent death row.
Mm.
So I've seen it all when it
Yeah.
comes to this, when it comes to the community. I mean, I've been pushed away and I've been begged back. It's nothing new to me. It's just in this iteration, there's an entire new generation of people going through it. Whereas some of the older gen members know exactly what's going on and what exactly to do about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just my iteration, my point I was gonna make.
No, no. To answer some questions that have been put in no mic because they were fairly relevant to what you were asking. Um, a new ROTC made by who? I feel like a definitely a fix would be complete new ROTC. I feel like it has to be made by someone who understands truly like how to keep things as simple as possible. Simple, clear, obvious. I know Nuke's put his hand up, so he's going to want to start giving us some judge stuff. And I will invite you up. I do just want to finish my point. But completely simple. None of the, like, on a complete whole document. It's going to be so simple that it can be put in, like, maybe a few channels. That's it.
How about an ROTC made by the current generation of people? And then for every generation that passes, we see if that ROTC still holds up with the people.
Yeah.
How would that?
I mean, I feel like everyone getting a say um, in what is actually put in and how it's
No.
worded.
Well, it'd be more of how would I go about saying that? Unlike the ROTC we have now,
Hmm.
where it's made by fraud and voted upon by people, it would be. Uh, that's where it gets kind of fishy because you'd have to, unless they were about a single Google Doc that everybody has access to sit there and type out what they would want to see.
Yeah.
Ooh, I know a way you could do it. Have it something like a survey or a Google form where you ask each individual person what would you make their OTC. You compile those results, and then you sit down and make the ROTC based on the most popular answers of that result.
Yeah.
That'd be one way.
That makes sense. Another way you could possibly do it is literally in maybe a stage like this. You could maybe have one or two people to act as like the writers and stuff, and then for like a good like chunk of the day, you have people come in. They will drop their proposal in. The writers will write down what their proposal is. And then at the end of like the period, everyone votes on the proposals.
I like
And
that one a lot. That's a really good one.
yeah, so then it would completely optimize the amount of like ideas that can get sent through, and you know like it would be a very bare bones basic, no like written in loopholes type of shit. I'm talking like proper Discord, proper traditional Discord. Here's the rules for everyone to follow. Here's the
Yeah.
rules that staff have to follow. Here's what all of these jobs do. That's it. No like pesky loopholes or like this little intricate thing. Proper basic stuff for everyone to understand. no little loopholes, stuff that people can remember, and then people don't like forget about like that one little detail that's been in there for 6 years that everyone just keeps brushing past. Because
I like the sound of that.
for how a Discord server is run, you don't need that shit overcomplicated.
Well, I mean, I feel like a big part of it is the fact that we're borderline a democracy role play server at this point.
Yeah, we are.
So like, so like, I mean, there's not you
No,
can't go
I
very
would
far
even
without
go
touching the
farther to
roots.
say, sorry, Ichigo, to interrupt. I would go farther to say that this server right now goes further than democracy roleplays. I've been in democracy roleplays. There ain't this much like democracy and bureaucracy and all that shit in the democracy and like country like roleplay servers that I've been in. There ain't like none of this shit. This shit takes it to a completely different level.
Well, I mean, because I mean, simply put, we're kind of acting out a, a basic form of democracy. There's a government, there are people, and those people have to go through the government to do anything
Yeah.
really of importance.
Mm.
So I mean, and it's limited in a way where you don't have as much freedom as you do in real life.
Yeah.
So there's only the matter of the fact of you can sit here and have to just debate the politics of the server. That's basically all
Yeah.
it is.
Literally, the only thing that separates Caveton right now from an actual country is land.
Exactly.
And
Yeah, exactly. Well,
that is
and
not
like
how should
monetary
that is not
value.
that is not how things should be done. I know it's a bit, it's might get a little bit of flack. Probably not. I feel like a lot of this whole let's yeah, but like that's not how you run a Discord server. You don't run a Discord server like a country. You don't drive a car like you would a train. You don't fly a plane like you would a helicopter. So why the fuck would on God's earth? I don't even know why I said God's earth. I'm not even a Christian. Not even religious. So why in hell would you run a Discord server like a country? It's really,
Well,
really not that deep. It doesn't
well, I
need to
mean,
be that complicated.
yeah, but I mean that's basically what the roots of this server is. That's what Fraught made this server out to be.
And
Is
it's not
that?
working. Right now, it's not
No, you're
working.
right. You're right. It is not working.
Multiple
But I
people
mean,
have said that the current system is not working. Right now, we're not really going anywhere. We're kind of, like member-wise, we're kind of stagnating. We haven't really seen a massive increase. The only part that has seen a massive increase is Red Light, but let's be honest, we all know why Red Light's getting members. We all know
yeah,
why
I don't.
Red Light's getting members.
Red Light's getting members because it's Red Light.
Yeah.
But the reason Red Light's failing, that's a whole nother issue altogether.
Yeah. And I have to ask, am I allowed to share details on the Red Light stuff? I'm asking because I could. I'm just waiting for confirmation.
I don't know the answer to that
From
one,
Fraud,
unfortunately.
from Noob, from either one of you. Am I allowed to share details? Neither of them are saying anything. Kind of worried. The current stuff and happenings within the staff to do with Red Light. This is literally me like watching what my lawyer says.
Well, I mean, if anything, we could just talk about it from what a member's perspective on Red Light is, because that would be me. I'm an outside member, a viewer on Red Light, not staff or anything.
Hang on, we might be getting fraughts. Can I? Right, we're just waiting, and then I will begin. Just gotta see. Can I? Can't I? Can I? Can't I? Can I? Can't I? Just
I would say before we move on to red light,
yeah.
maybe give Nuke a chance to talk about
Oh yeah,
what we
yeah,
were
yeah.
talking about.
Nuke, do
Oh,
you
I
wanna
said what he
come up
wanted to say.
or? I have to say, throughout all of this, this isn't even me giving away any details or stuff like. But Nuke has been like really, really good with, I think, explaining stuff and breaking stuff down and technicalities and stuff. Just goes to show how good you are at your job. Speaking of the devil, he's here. Hello.
Hi, I don't know what I honestly only requested because I wanted to say like what Ichigo said, but Ichigo already said it, so I don't know what the protocol is. If what I should what should I say?
We just want to know your what you think should be done with the server.
Ah, okay, okay. So I haven't been here for most of it, honestly, but looking at the past few times where we had any issues. I think one thing, and I've said this in the other call above before, one thing that always gets apparent is that moderation lacks heavily. And when moderation lacks heavily, obviously the whole system will break down. I've had this talk many of times, and most of the time, stuff that were brought up were ideas that are good and ideas that, in theory should be nice. But I think this past problem has shown us one thing specifically, and that is that the Caveton guardianship system doesn't care for every member, and it never will, because all it really cares for are the most popular members as well as the core community or the most active piece of community. In this stage channel alone, I can see two main sides of one coin. I'm seeing Ichigo, Nicole, Leah being on one side of it, someone like Brady, Total, Fraud,
I'm not
maybe even
involved in
me.
this.
I'm not. I'm not. It's just like in a stage of how people
Oh yeah,
communicate
yeah.
with each other, sort of thing. On the other side, I think this alone would raise the question of how we could accept the guardianship to be the voice of anyone in the server if the fact remains that I'll put my money in here and say Ichigo could not confidently say that anyone in the guardianship sort of supports his voice, right? I don't think Ichigo, Nicole, or Leah feel heard in the staff system, which,
Can I
as
make
far
a
as I
point real
understood
quick?
it, yeah, sure, of course.
Just real quick, I want to make a point of the opposing factions here are really split at a very fine line. And the fine line is people who have been around for years and those who are just starting to become around for years. That's really the fine line that I see. I don't know if anyone else sees that, but that was just it. They'll go ahead and continue.
Yeah, so just as a quick comment to that, while I could say I see it, I just don't see any relevance in bringing that up anyway, because to the point where it would, with the point I is being made here, it just isn't really relevant because the fact of the matter remains the system set up to make the members feel heard is not making the members feel heard. I'm gonna be honest. I don't see myself on the opposing side, as so it's called, of the coin, and I still don't feel like I'm being heard in the server. The only reason I think I am is because, well, I'm currently sitting here in front of the monarch and telling him his system is trash. That's the only thing that is happening. But as far as the guards representing anyone in the server, I think that has been lacking. And that hasn't been lacking for once, that hasn't been lacking for twice, it has been lacking for a while now. Even back then, when the opposing side sort of was on top, I wasn't there for it. For example, when I believe Ichigo was once prime minister, once guard, once elite guard. Correct me if I'm wrong. But even then, I'm sure that the guard system at some point still didn't really care about a good portion of the server. Now, why is that an issue? It's because fraud or the whole system builds up a system for everyone to feel heard, bringing up the idea, yo, in Caveton you can bring out your opinions, your ideas. It's a place to debate, it's a place to talk, it's a place to have this and that. But does anyone really feel heard and comfortable with the people they voted in? Because looking at it factually, the votes of the other side of the coin, which I mostly count like four people, there are obviously more, are maybe like a small percent of actually having any say in who gets voted in. Looking at the guards, most of the time, oh shit, what am I doing? Oh fuck, I clicked wrong buttons.
Oh.
Looking at the guards, most of the time, it's just people that sort of got on top while having the joy of being part of the community is core and being those sort of values, but not really having much moderation. When the whole thing with protest corner and honor guard referendum channel happened, I think it really came through how much the tension between the two sides has been going on, to the point where the people that should have moderated basically openly said they were biased. Meanwhile, the other side legit had no power to do anything. The only power they could have had is open cases, which I personally, and I'm a judge, I'm saying I don't think that should be the case, because the judges are there to see if the guards did a good job, to care about the members, but the guards are primarily there to be the voice of the community, which they have been failing to do for many times now. And I don't know how that system could possibly change in a way that would satisfy everyone. All I know is the system can't go on as much if we really try to integrate so many different people into the server, because till now, the most biased partition of this whole staff system is saying they're openly biased and not even trying to hide it.
I agree with everything you just said.
Sometimes, Nuke, I'm gonna be honest, I hate bringing you up here because you always, 100 times out of 100, show me up. What the hell?
That's just who I am.
No, no. I must say, I don't think I could ever, or I don't think anyone could ever put it as beautifully and as crafted as you seem to put shit. I must
Thank you.
I must completely agree. And I think
Now,
this situation that we are in now. This situation should be the last time that this sort of like cycle happens. And I think we really, really need to pull our heads out of the sand and like actually do something. Like physically
I mean,
change to prevent this from happening.
like I said earlier, I've seen a lot of different iterations of this system, and it always leads back to the same thing. So I don't know if there's an actual way to rebuild what Caveton or what the fraudulent community is without completely dismantling its core. There's no way you can keep the core of what everything is without having the same cycle go through.
So be it. Why not?
Well,
I think-
If the core isn't working, then
Well, and
I
that's
think
where you're
the-
going to find as much pushback as you could possibly get because, let's be honest here. This entire thing was indeed made by one person, right? And that one person has his ideals, his beliefs, and the way he thinks things should be run. And if the members of his community try to break that down and change it at its fundamental core, he's probably not going to like that. I can't speak for him, but I do know Fraught very well. And I don't think it's going to be possible to do the things that you say we need to do to make sure the cycle never happens. But I could be wrong. I could very well be wrong. That's just my perspective of it.
I think one thing we need to give credit to is the fact that a very unique part of the this specific server is how much it tries to be diverse. We don't You see it in many servers. Obviously, in many servers you have people with different opinions, but in Caveton, it is one of the servers that tries to at least openly accept that and go on with it. It's a difficult task bringing many people with completely different personalities under one hood. So we need to be fair to especially fraud that building up a system like this is obviously not the easiest task to do. In fact, I'll go as
It
far
took
as
him
to
years to do
say
it.
exactly, and I'd go as far as to say the ROTC as it is now is flawed as it could ever be, but it's also the consequences of generations of trying to build up a system like this. So we have to give credit for a system like this being built up. The fact that it's failing is, well, sort of, sad to see, but it's something inevitable. It's something that a server that tries to force everyone into one hood just it goes through them. I've been in all sides of the server. The first time I've met Ichigo, I said he was the biggest asshole I've ever met, but he knows that, I hope. Um,
Well, he does
I
now.
was.
Over time,
I agree. I was for fucking sure.
Wow.
over time in Caveton, my opinion didn't change. After a time, a bit, calming the situation down, my opinion on him has bettered. I wouldn't say I'll call him a dear friend, but I'll say I would play Fortnite with him. The same with any other person. That is something that happens mostly in Caveton, because in any other server, I'm 90% sure either me or Ichigo would have been banned, and that would be the end of it. That is something that Caveton gives us that most other servers don't give. But especially in a server like this, it is pretty important to let the moderation not be one sided, but let the moderation be an unbiased sort of thing that comes out. Which is why I personally believe that moderation should not be something that is elected and then changed after 3 months, because in an election you usually have the most popular people win. I think moderation should be given in the hands of either one or two things: people that the community deems good enough to actually moderate, because I'm sure as much as many people despise someone like Ichigo, I have heard many stories of what a great guard he was, because, and I can see it, is there are just people that rather do stuff. They don't talk much, they rather just do it. Now, it's either we put people in that we have elected and deemed worthy of the position until we don't see them worthy of that position anymore, or we accept and embrace the fact that Caveton is a piece of factions put together, and allow, distinguished parts of the server have at least one representative in the staff so they can do something, because it is important that everyone sort of feels like they have their voice in the server if we want to make it go on like this. Moderation won't work if only the popular people wins. The events and voices that are the guardianship system is an important key aspect of the server, but obviously we can see that guardianship's working is actually very, like, it's like a sinus curve. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, which shouldn't be. I believe those are the best ways we could make the server work. Other than that, I think we're just sort of making a joke of trying but not really caring.
I feel like that basically comes back around to the fact that the server is a democratic role play per se. we have our two-party system. There's one people on one side, one people on the other. When one side of the party wins the elections, then they have the most control over the server, whereas the other party barely has a voice at all. I feel like that might be the reciprocating event that happens when guards are elected and whatnot.
Mm.
A question from Fraught is: isn't this what all communities eventually come to? It's just Caveton survives it.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone wants to go first. I'd like to, or
Or
if anyone
if you
else
want to
would.
go ahead, Nuke. If you want to go ahead, Nuke, go ahead. But I would like the question reiterated for me real quick. I didn't really quite understand.
I think what Fraud is asking is if this sort of situation isn't something that any community or every community goes through, and the difference is just that Caveton has a chance of surviving it or Caveton is surviving it, like the whole splitting of basically two big factions in the server.
I mean, it depends on what kind of community you're exactly referring to, because it depends on whether it's a gaming community, which would be akin to what we are. I mean, in gaming communities, you can get those two factions and they will eventually split if things get worse enough. But the splitting of those factions would just be one faction making their own gaming server or gaming community and building themselves up from there until eventually their server community splits. So, I mean, it's possible, yes, some servers go through that, but I would say that's the exception, not the rule. I feel a majority of servers don't have that issue. If somebody doesn't like it, they usually up and just leave and find a different one. Which is not to say that's what you should do. That's not what we are, of course. But I mean, that's what people will end up doing if they don't like it.
Yeah, adding on to what Ichigo said, um, it's a difficult question to ask because I wouldn't say that every community goes through these sort of things. But I will say this: I have moderated and been admin in many different community servers, one of which I am in currently right now, and I'm also admin in. One thing that recently we had, the server was quite toxic for a long while, and recently we've started to push that thing down. So we've changed the server, we've made some difference in it, which ultimately, as one would guess, brought up the issue of the old people that liked the way the server was, wanted the server to be that way, and the newer people are really happy about it not being so toxic anymore. This is something you can see in the whole community as a whole. The difference is in the server I'm admin in, we have a no tolerance policy for toxicity nowadays. So we just ban people like that. We can't do that here, and I'm not saying we should. But yes, Fraud is right. Many communities go through these sort of things when change happens, and seeing as to how most of the people involved in these problems are usually people that are from the older gens, it could also just be those consequences of those sort of things. But it's not important. It doesn't, the question is irrelevant. The answer to it is irrelevant. The whole situation that this has brought up is the most relevant part. We can answer the question however we want. Does every server go through it? Caveton is survive. Nobody cares. Is Caveton surviving it or not? That is not the answer that you're looking for. The question is, how is Caveton surviving it? How are we getting through this? Caveton can survive it in many ways. Ichigo, Nicole, Leah, everyone on the contrary side could leave the server. Sounds like Caveton survived it. All of the other people could just, leave the server. Caveton would probably survive it. But that is not the question that has to be asked. The question is, what can we do to make Caveton survive in its best form, to have many people from different ideologies talk with each other? So I personally think that question is completely, it's a fun question to ask. It's just a really irrelevant and stupid question to ask when all you're really trying to achieve is for everyone to be in harmony with one another. I think all it really does is raise a dumb answer that could be used at some point but shouldn't really be asked or answered. So I'd honestly rather not answer if it ever happens in every server, and just go with the answer of, honestly, the question is irrelevant. It doesn't matter.
Okay. My answer to the question is very similar to Nuke's. Actually, I would go as far to say that I agree with everything Nuke has said. But I will be going one step further. And I would say, I don't think we're going to survive this one, buddy.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I don't think Caveton will survive either.
I don't think this one's. I don't think Caveton's surviving this one. You know, it's shit's bad. Shit's real bad. You know, I mean, I guess you could loosely argue, like Nuke said. I mean, we technically survive because like a massive chunk of the server's like gone. But the people that are still left, it survives because they're still here. That's not surviving. You've just lost people who, I mean, people are cool. You might not agree with them, but you know that losing half a server or losing a group of people, that's not winning. That's not surviving. You know, we can't physically. The only way to like this sort of shit can't be waiting out a situation like this is the worst thing to do. And like forcing each other to like agree on one thing, that's also going to not be the way to do this. There is so much shit that we've got to deal with that we can't just expect everyone to agree. We can't just expect everyone to comply. We can't just think, oh, it's perfectly fine, we've survived something like this before. We're going to be completely fine. You know, something needs to be done. You can't just say, oh, we've survived. The community survives. The community always survives. That it's not surviving. If you're having to like constantly like you know, the thing dies. Okay, wait, we're gonna have a new iteration, and you know we're definitely going to do stuff completely different from the old iteration, and then just a constant cycle of growth, death, growth, death. That's not surviving. Right now, we are heading towards it not surviving. And to say like this is something that all other communities go through. I mean, kinda. Some things do, some things don't. But you know, we're lucky enough that we're in a situation where we can we can fix the shit, and people are happy about it. But I hate to say it, we're choosing not to. Almost. And quite ironically, actually, I think the more that I'm talking, the more that I'm realizing that, you know, none of this talking shit really matters, because we're not actually fixing the problem. We're just talking about the problem and talking about how we would fix the problem. And it's quite ironic that I come to that conclusion while I'm talking.
And it makes me want to ask the question of, even if we do attempt to change the community or the server, or if we try to change what's wrong, what's to say people want that change in the first place? I mean, the three of us have been up here discussing it the whole time. Obviously, there's been people in no bike. But who's to say that the vast majority of the people want that change? who wants to change? Is it just us three? Is it a few minority of people who actually wants? Am I
Mm.
okay? But
I
yeah,
feel
but
like
who actually wants the change per se? I guess is my question.
I guess this is gonna be me beating around the bush, but we're never gonna know who really wants the change because change for everyone varies. Some people want one specific thing changed. Some people want another specific thing changed. So to answer your question, yes and no. I know it's really stupid. I know
You
it's a
were
stupid
cutting out
answer.
pretty bad right now.
I am.
Is
Am I?
he
Yes,
lagging?
you
Am
are.
I lagging? Okay.
Am I lagging?
Yeah, you are.
I am. Shit.
You're a robot, yeah.
It sounds like everybody is cutting out really bad, actually.
I mean, to me, you're both cutting
Mm.
out. Can can we get some confirmation in no mic?
Oh, apparently we have other people in the audience that would like to talk.
Oh, we do. We have Brady. Let's invite up Brady. Brady, I've invited you up. Damn, are we just all like glitching out? Hello, Brady? Everyone sounds techno. Okay, we're all glitching and cutting out and shit.
Yeah. Discord, great.
Yeah, Discord's at its finest, people. It is? Oh, great. Good. Hello. Welcome. Brady?
Yeah, you sound normal now.
So do you.
Brady isn't talking.
Brady isn't talking. Brady don't sound that. Oh, Brady's gone.
She's back.
I can't do that anymore. My voice. Oh, God, I swear.
Okay, hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, I'm gonna have to talk on my computer because my phone isn't working. I don't have a headset, so if there's echo, sorry.
That's fine.
That's fine.
There's such a bad echo. Hold on. Okay, so whenever I'm not talking, I'll just mute.
Okay.
I think there needs to be a lot of, like you said, I agree somewhat with what you said, Totaled, about there's nothing that can be changed by talking about it because there's a lot that could be changed by talking about it. There are certain people that need to talk, and I'm not saying anyone in this call right now, but I am saying there are people that need to put aside their differences and talk to one another to figure this out, because at this point it's just being petty and not wanting to push aside their point of view to try to talk to other people about this situation. Because I do believe Caveton could, could work this out and figure out a way to fix this, but people need to talk. Because people are deciding, oh, I don't want to talk, or I don't want to deal with this, or I don't want to find a solution to this, and it's not going to work if we keep on keeping that mindset.
Mm.
Um, I agree with Brady. I think talking might not feel like it's doing much, but I think in Caveton, at least, the members have the power to do more than, just talk with no real reason. That is something that for example, Fraud advertises a lot, and I gotta agree with him. Uh, in Caveton, it is very easy to, well, not easy, but it's easier than any other server to make some changes. I think the biggest issue that Caveton faces is what most democratic and sort of bureaucratic servers or organizations face. It's the fact that they cannot handle change. It's not that people here don't want to change, it's the fact that as a system, it is not possible for it to change. We can't change as fast as the situation everywhere is changing. Um, Caveton's system has been built upon a lot of different stuff from the past. But in the meantime, the members have changed over time from a slow change to a very drastic change. I would argue that a lot of the people probably nowadays don't really reflect a lot of the older gens. Um, and what happened in like older gens, but the system in itself sort of failed to change to adapt to these new people, which is honestly what I think one of the biggest problems is that sort of has to be helped with, because changes go out real slow. And when a system changes slowly and it can't adapt to newer situations, it's just doomed to fail. It's going to turn to Germany, and we all know how fucking badly that fails.
Mm.
So, I'm not too sure. Well, I guess keeping up with a new roulette of members, and especially with this server, it's a roulette of who is active and who is not. I mean, 6 months ago, or I guess maybe longer than that now, but I say a year ago, there was an entirely different set of active people in this server. And those people have shifted out and new people have shifted in. Yes, we have some people who've been here. Uh, for example, Nuke, you've been around since 2018 on and off, right?
I think 19, I'm not sure.
2018, 19, something like that. But I mean, it's not like you've been here that entire time. You haven't been in Caveton from 2019 till now. You've come off
Yeah,
and on.
yeah, yeah.
Right. So I feel like that roulette of interchanging of active members may have like a huge importance into like how the server is today. You said that the rules weren't keeping up with the changing times, right? That's what you said.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, I mean, yes, the ROTC has changed about 3 or 4 times as far as I know since I've recently come back around. And but those changes weren't anything fundamental really. It was just minor, language fixes or minor detail fixes and things like that, simplifications and oversimplifications and things like that. Earlier I was talking with um totaled here about what an ROTC made by the people would look like and how that would be ran. I don't know if you were here for that.
I don't think so, no.
No, but I mean, basically, we came to the suggestion of the people. We would. There was two ways that you could go about it. I like Total's version a little bit more, but we would just sit down in a stage like this one, and we'd just have two writers, 2 or 3 writers, and then we'll have one person come up or one person type in a no mic and just say, hey, what do you think the rules for
Oh,
Caveton should
that,
look
yeah.
like? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I feel like that system right there, and whereas we redo that, I would say maybe I don't want to say on a generation change because those happen very irregularly, but I would say just every time it's noticed that a new roulette of active members has come, then we sit down and update the rules a little bit to what those new members think they would be. And if the majority of those members agree, then I mean that's the majority vote. Since we are technically still democratic in a form of way, that would be the best way to go about that. I feel like that would be the start. That would, if we were to start to change things, it would be that would be the start to change things. And then also, Leah posted a nice big paragraph that I'd like to go over eventually, but we don't have to right now.
No, I feel like is now the time. I
I mean, if anybody's got a response to what I just said, let it be known, or else we can move on.
Yeah, no, that was pretty much the point I wanted to make when I first raised my hand, so I don't really have anything.
I 100% agree with that.
Right. Okay. Well then, moving onward to this paragraph that was posted. Leah basically demonstrates that the majority, or if not the entirety, of what may be the problem going on as of current events is just about basically put forgiveness in each other. Or being unforgiving, I guess. Forgiveness, unforgiving. It's two sides of the same coin, really. And she gives an example where I've known Leah a long time. We've had our ups and downs. And as it's obviously known, we've gotten past those things. But with other members, she feels like the littlest thing has set them off and they have been unforgiving to her in that sense. And then she references the VC we had a few days ago where some other members were basically making a game of coming into the VC and harassing us. Quote, when we were just sitting down playing a game together, that game being, of course, Fortnite.
One thing I will say is when we did that, our point was not to harass anyone, period. Well, for me, it was not to harass anyone. I never had full on conversations with any of you guys. So I was worried because of the things that happened prior and your guys' feelings that you guys pursued a little bit in chat about guards. I was worried me going in there would make you guys upset. So therefore Koi went in and then I went in to try to have a conversation. I did not mean for it to turn into a game, and I am very sorry if it came off that way. And I am extremely sorry if it came off as harassment because that was not our point. And if it did, I'm very sorry. And please bring it to my attention next time because I never want someone to feel uncomfortable or someone feel harassed by me whatsoever because that is not my intent on making anyone feel that way. So
Right.
I'm very, very, very sorry for having that feeling come across that way.
And you know that actually is a really good segue into a point I'd like to make of the majority of this server and the majority of how people are is they take their perception of things and they just run with it. I mean, a lot of people here do that. A lot of normal people out in the real world do that. And it's kind of a perception game, I would dare say, whether of are you yourself as a person getting your point across in the way you want your point perceived. In some situations most people fail to do that in its entirety and they are perceived in a different way than what they were putting off, if that sounds correct. I think it does. But I feel like that's a huge part of, along with, you know, the unforgiving and everything, is just the perception that people will take and run with because they don't want to have to, I guess, sit there and talk about how a person was trying to put off what they were, you know, putting off, rather than kind of lost my train of thought on that one. Basically, perception and forgiveness per se is the main points, and that could be another huge contributor of how to fix the situation rather than just outright changing everything to fix it. More of a maybe others should be more open to perceiving in different ways rather than just taking it and running with it.
I'm agree with everything that was said, and I think it is a big issue that continues in Caveton. And it just doesn't come from what I've seen, it actually comes from what I have done myself. I think in the past, with many members, I have been very unforgiving and very biased. And I must say this, even though I'm a judge, I personally believe that in the past, I have been very biased towards members. Um, After a time, it just sort of didn't make any sense anymore. I'm openly state that for the longest of whiles, I didn't like Ichigo and pretty
No
much
one
everyone
ever
around
does.
Ichigo.
No one ever does. For the first time, usually.
So usually when anything around him came out, I will openly say I was quite biased towards him. Not because I reflected on anything that happened, but mostly because it was Ichigo. And I think that one thing that is very difficult in a server like this is to realize that we are people with different opinions, with different, we come from different places, we were raised differently, we have different views on everything. Obviously, I will never agree on most of the things that Ichigo agrees in, but that doesn't mean that I can't join a channel and talk to him about some stuff or play a game or something, which I think, honestly, agreeing with Leah and what Ichigo said is a big issue. And seeing as to how I personally also feel I did it in the past, and I know that many other people also do it, I think I can agree it's one of the biggest issues.
I think
The
where
moment
we,
that this is the most we've ever agreed on something.
yeah.
For real.
Honestly, I kind of take back what I said earlier that we're not really doing anything by talking. I think this is possibly the most productive that.
Like I said before, talking does wonders.
Look, okay, look, I am more of a man who would much rather prefer to see shit done than to sit around and talk. I feel like that's just me
see,
though.
see, I understand that.
But I
Adding
do
into
agree
what
that this is all helping a lot, and yeah, and sorry.
adding into what Nuke said and what you said totaled is we all grew up differently. We all can agree on that. None of us have grown up the exact same way. So for totaled, the way he grew up, the way to fix something is to do something about it, right? And I bet you some people also grew up that way. That the way to fix something is to do something about it. The way I grew up is the way to fix something is talk about it. Because personally, it you can't do anything about something unless you figure out what you need to do. And figuring out what you need to do is talking about it. So I find this one of the most amazing things that all of us can have a voice and all of us can talk about something because I have agreed with Ichigo and I have agreed with other people so many times during this thing that I have not agreed with those people that many times. And I feel like if I hop into a voice call with Ichigo and his wife and other people in that call, I could have an honest conversation. Before this, I felt like if I hopped in a call with you guys, I'm not saying you guys are scary, but I'm a little bitch. I think everyone's scary to be honest. So, yeah. Yeah, that's all.
Well, I'd like to say on that front, I feel like the only reason that we are able to do this and we are able to talk about it and our voices are being heard is because this is the Cavecast, right? This is a recorded kind of deal. This would probably be a whole different situation if this wasn't a stage and this was just a regular voice chat with no recording and without a bunch of people gonna see this from the community. I don't know how many views the Cavecast gets on YouTube,
Not many
but
people.
oh well. I mean, either way, I feel like the only reason that we are being able to do this is because it's on Cavecast. If this was just a regular VC, we would have not gotten as far as we have gotten. Especially, I mean, the only person up here that is of opposite faction, quote quote faction, would technically
Be
be
me.
yes, it would technically
Mhm.
be Team Blue,
Yes, it would
and
100% be me.
yeah, and that's the only person up here that is technically. And if this wasn't Cavecast, we wouldn't have never gotten to this point. It would have turned into a shouting match before we ever talked legitimately about anything.
See, the thing is, one thing you'll never get from me, because I hate confrontation, is a shouting match. You will never
Right,
hear me shout at someone, except for these goddamn fucking pugs. But that's a whole different conversation.
right. And I mean, who's currently here? Got Fraught, Dragon Tamer, Gerbil, and Nicole. I feel like if we had maybe everybody here, then maybe we could probably get down to some serious talking and some serious changing of things. But with just the few amount of people and the very little opposition, I would say, the very little opposition to what I say or to maybe what Nuke says, uh, we're only going to get so far here. And I feel like after this Cavecast episode, everything's just gonna go right back to the way it was. This Cavecast episode is a daydream per se, something that will only happen once. I mean, I feel like it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a group effort to actually put into effect the things that we discussed here, and the few. I think we only came up with like two actual solutions to fix something in this. Maybe we can come up with more later, but I only record two fixes to the possible situation that everything's in, and I feel like none of those are going to be followed through in the slightest after this is over. I could be
Um,
wrong. I would love to be wrong about that one, even though
uh,
I hate being wrong.
are you able to tell me what the two fixes are? Because as someone as the quote unquote opposite side, I truly and wholeheartedly agree with everything that has been talked about. And I will very much preach that to the other side, quote unquote, because I don't think there should be sides. I think we should be one whole community like how we were before this whole thing happened.
Right. Well, that's where things get a little tricky. Um, Total came up with the first solution, which Total, if you would like to speak, I don't want to hog the mic here.
No, it's fine. I'm letting people talk because this is doing wonders and I don't want to interrupt it.
Right. Okay. Well then, with that, I'll say that the first solution that was come up with is Total wanted a complete dismantling, and then I'm talking dismantling to the core of the current system we have. I'm not too sure if he was specifically meaning the democratic factor of our system or if it's maybe the rules, the core rules of the system. I'm not. I need a little bit more specification on that one, to be honest. I think you were talking total dismantlement of like the democratic figure altogether, though.
I would say both. And then
Okay.
rebuild the entire system based on my way of how a new ROTC should be written and stuff, where
Right.
people are in this setting because this seems to be the best setting for
Pretty
discussion.
good. Pretty good.
I don't want to toot my own horn or brag or anything, but this does seem to
Go
be the
ahead.
best. This, in my opinion, does seem to be the best way of getting shit done. So, if like maybe across a weekend, having like this would really help. People come in, they voice their opinion. It gets written down. It's spoke about a bit. Maybe change this, maybe change that. Then people vote. The three choices being yes, no, fixed, and if fixed, what would they like to see? Then we take the most common of what the people would like to see to the changes to what's been proposed. We submit those again until we get something that the majority of people are happy with.
Right. So then in that scenario, then per se, because actually, I kind of want to work this out while we're here too, even though it might not actually happen.
Yeah.
But in that sense, would we be losing the democratic side of things? Because I feel like that would just be a reiteration of the way we democratically have things now. Everybody has a vote. It's just in this situation, everybody has an actual vote of things rather than the kind of half vote everybody kind of has now.
I think yes and no. Yes, as in a sense that people do technically still get a say because it's them deciding the rules and how things should be done. But then after that, it's up to them to decide: do they want to continue on with the democratic side? Do they not want to continue with the democratic side? It all comes down to what. It's rather ironic that democracy in this server would end through democracy.
That would be a total fucking flip. I would find that very hilarious if that were to happen.
Yeah, but
And
it's not uncommon. Democracy
No.
has ended through democracy. God, that feels
And then,
like
of
such
course,
a weird, like, mind fuck to say.
it is. And then, of course, we would want to make sure that that kind of event of sitting down and going over the rules and seeing if we want to reiterate them not every new generation, but maybe we have an actual time frame, like twice a year, maybe. But
Yeah,
just every swap of an active group of members, we would sit there and be like, all right, well, now that you guys are the new active group, what do you think of the rules?
yeah. It seems fair.
Actually, thinking about that now, that's kind of almost what we have already. Hold on, I might have just came onto something here. That's basically what we have now. It's just everybody would be writing it instead of just one person.
Yeah. And then if everyone writes it, then it's forced into be put into a way that it's simple. There's no kind of like over complication because everyone's wrote it, everyone's voted on it, then it has to be simple. Like so much like loopholes and well I could do this, well I could do that, then that will
Yeah.
just get that all just gets completely removed because everyone's done it.
Right. And also, I'm just real quick. I'm gonna respond to Fraud's message. This wouldn't be the first time I've come up with a server say or community saving document fraud. Not the first time.
Ooh,
Haha.
little bit of shade. Ooh.
Well, no, it's not just. I'm just tooting my own horn for a little bit.
Yeah.
But and then what was the second one? Oh yeah, the second one was we were going over Leah's paragraph of a good problem of what the current two opposing sides have is just the unforgiving and the perception that's being had. But on both sides per se, on both sides. I'm sure that the side that I'm currently representing has had their or not, is it misperception? The incorrect perception of what maybe the other side was putting off.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of things
Intention,
that
yes,
that
intention.
as someone who has seen both sides, as someone that has seen both sides, I can see like things that like this should have been done differently. That you don't say that. You don't say this like name calling and like kind of people like applying like names to groups. That's not how this should be done. I hate to say it, but why don't we do obviously I won't record it because it's a pretty sensitive topic and issue, but why not we get both of the main groups down like this in a calm situation and talk it out.
Now that would be something to see for sure. Can we make go ahead and make sure? I want to see that happen. We'd have. I'd like to see 2 or 3 people of each side
Yeah,
in this sort of situation to do that. I would love
yeah.
to see that, and I would absolutely love to be a part of it.
Mm.
Because I'd like. I mean, I'm sure as the other side wants answers, I personally want some answers from the other side. Of course, from some people who are not here. Um, Beam Blue probably won't be able to provide me the answers I want, but
Yeah.
I'll save it for then, not now.
If you'd like to talk about it, we can. I can give you as much answers as I can, but to be 100% transparent with you, lately I have been very disconnected and dealing with my own mental health. So
Yeah,
I haven't been dealing that much with this situation.
I would probably rather prefer to hear it from I don't know,
Certain
hear it from
people.
the actual
Yeah.
person. Yeah, I would like to hear it from the actual person themselves instead of word of mouth.
Yeah.
I'd like some truly good answers.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Mm.
But yeah, that's my take. Has anybody else got something to say? I've been talking a long time.
No, no, you haven't been talking. Long time, you're fine.
You've been talking the right amount.
Hmm. I think this. I feel like this has become a amazing conclusion right now. This genuinely is a perfect conclusion for us. We're agreeing. We're agreeing. We're saying that we are going to set aside our differences and talk it out, work it out. We have come up with solutions. And I personally kind of find it almost ironic now at this point. That the title of this Cavecast is Caveton in Crisis. And in the end, we have come up with ways which could possibly solve the whole issue.
Yes, we have indeed. But now the real question is
Now is
will
a
these
matter
solutions
of,
follow through?
yeah. And now I say it's up to us. It's up to us now. We've got to follow through with it.
Well, Mr. Prime Minister, the responsibility mainly lies on your shoulders for right now, until some things actually go through.
There is, sadly, for the stuff that needs done, I don't think this is something that I could technically do. This has to be a group effort. You know, there's only so much I can technically do. And
That is fair enough. That is fair
there is
enough.
only so much I can do, and there's only so much that I can technically do. Disregarding stuff that I can get away with, of doing. There's only so much I can, like, physically do, as in, like, what I'm bound by like the rules and shit to do.
Yeah.
This,
Well,
I can try my hardest to get all of this pushed through and get all of this done. But, you know, at the end of the day, there's only so much I can really do. So,
yeah. I mean, as long as you stay reasonable and we keep within like what we've talked about here, as long as that happens, I'm 100%. I'm 100% with you on that.
mm,
So you have my full backing, so long as
yeah,
you're
I,
keeping with what we're going with right now.
yeah. I'm definitely going to schedule for next week. I will be putting this out there now, that for next week it will not be a Cavecast. I will be going through with what I've promised today. It might even be a little late. I'm trying to think. Is there maybe a time I could? No, there isn't really. It will have to be. I can do Sunday.
Well, I would say if you're
Um,
talking about having the two factions coming together to talk it out,
yeah,
you might need to talk with the the other side
yeah,
on seeing how their schedule looks, because I'm free most of the times after in the evening. Nicole will be free most of the time in the evening. I can't really say for Leah,
yeah. I mean,
so
as
that
long
was
as
something we'd have
as
to
long as we
ask.
have a few,
Right.
like a good chunk of both sides, that's enough.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah. So, um, I probably still might, in that case, do a Cavecast next week. Hopefully, it's a reflection on the current situation. Um, or maybe it's something nice and light. But yeah, so for Sunday, I will be doing the talk it out session. I'm going to be asking both sides and everything, like, like, I mean, Dragon, if you want to be, you can come and sit in, if you'd like. Um, but yeah, and then once it's been talked out, then, and as long as we reach the same conclusion that we've reached here, then I would see that as a success. But really, the only real thing I can really end this on is I promise to everyone who's here and everyone who was here and everyone that's not here that I will try to do what is needed. And that is about as much as I can say, because again, I can't technically do much, surprisingly. I'm surprisingly incredibly limited on what I'm actually allowed to do. But that being said, I am going to try my absolute hardest to ensure that everything is fixed. And I feel like this is a perfect way to end. I want to thank everyone who's been here, both past, present. I would like to especially thank anyone that's come up to talk or has put anything and interacted in No Mic. This has been possibly one of the best Cavecasts I will ever do. And now the real weight is on how I can top this, which I don't think I will. But
Oh no, the way you top this is by following through, baby.
hell
That's
yeah,
how you do it.
I'm gonna. I will try and follow
Total,
through. Yeah.
you said you didn't think you could top the last one, and you did.
What
So
top?
you
What do you
will
mean top
top
the
all
last
of
one?
them. Huh?
I mean, to be fair, cats versus dogs.
No, not the
Oh,
cats versus dog. One of the last ones.
I
Like,
think that might have
I think it
been.
was one of the first
I
ones.
think that was the interview with you.
Uh-huh.
Where
You
we.
said it, you could never top it, but you did. So I think you got this.
Yeah, I just gotta follow through now. Right. So, no pressure. That's fine. Um, but yeah, thank you to everyone who's been here from the beginning. Thank you to anyone that is on the panel now and has been on the panel. Especially,
I sorry, I have to go.
that's fine.
Dogs are getting rowdy.
Yeah, go, go. Those pugs are menaces, I swear. A special thanks to Nuke for showing me up for the 700th and 50th time or whatever. It's been absolutely nice, this Cavecast. Loved every minute of it.
Oh yeah, and don't forget to tune in to episode 13,
Yeah,
where it'll either be the revival of Caveton or the failure of Caveton.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Or something different, because Caveton's dying that much, and I feel like that we need a nice little filler episode.
Oh, that
Yeah.
could work too,
I
like
mean,
Naruto.
why? I mean, why do you guys think? Why do you guys think I did cats versus dogs?
Ah, that's fair enough. Fair
I
enough.
was like,
That's
oh
that's
damn,
pretty
things are
smart.
going to shit. You know what? Let's do something funny. Let's do cats versus dogs. No. So, depending on how everything goes, I think everyone will know how everything goes by what next week's Cavecast is. And
Hopefully,
if there
hopefully.
isn't a Cavecast next week, then things have really gone to shit.
No, yeah. Oh, jeez.
So, yeah, we've got a week. I need to stop dragging this out. Thank you so much.
Oh no, this is like the Patreon after credits,
Yeah.
except for it's gonna be in the main video.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Honestly, it's been a real treat. I am
Oh,
going to go
absolutely.
to bed now because I am in dire need of some sleep, and I gotta get up. Yay! I gotta get up tomorrow.
Oh.
I can't sleep in.
That sucks. Well, you have a
Actually, I
good
guess I
night there,
can,
Total.
but I will try. And remember, my DMs are always open. So if you have any questions, Cavecast related, Cavecast not related, or you just you need someone to talk to, or you just want to say hi, my DMs are always open, and I will get back to you as soon as I see your message. Me seeing your message as in when I wake up in the morning. I will respond. Thank you so much. Goodbye.